She is not chasing attention. She is not explaining herself to everyone. Islam taught her how to protect her heart without hardening it, and how to be strong without losing her softness. If you are a woman trying to stay faithful in a loud world, this message is for you. A smart woman understands something very early in life that many people learn only after being hurt many times. Her real strength does not begin with her voice, her appearance, or her opinions. It begins inside in the way she thinks, the way she responds, and the way she anchors her heart. In a world that constantly pressures women to be seen, to be noticed, to be approved, Islam gently reminds her of something deeper. You do not need to be loud to be valuable. You do not need to be visible to be important. And you do not need constant validation to know who you are. A wise woman learns emotional awareness. She notices her feelings without being controlled by them. She recognizes pain without allowing it to define her. She allows herself to feel, but she does not allow every emotion to make decisions on her behalf. This is not suppression. This is self-respect. Many women feel exhausted not because life is too hard, but because their inner world is constantly unsettled. They overthink conversations. They replay words. They question their worth based on how others treat them. A smart woman gently steps back from this chaos. She asks herself, why did this affect me so deeply? And instead of blaming others, she begins healing herself. Islam encourages this inner maturity. It teaches patience not as silence under oppression, but as clarity under pressure. It teaches trust not as passivity, but as emotional grounding. A woman who is anchored inside does not panic when misunderstood. She does not crumble when delayed. She does not lose herself when tested. She learns that peace does not come from controlling outcomes. It comes from aligning the heart. And this is why her presence feels calm, why her words carry weight even when few, why her decisions feel steady even in uncertainty. Because when a woman strengthens her inner world, the outer world no longer controls her. That is where wisdom begins. A smart woman learns something that changes the entire direction of her life. Not every emotion deserves expression, and not every feeling deserves action. This is not emotional coldness. This is emotional discipline. Many women suffer not because they feel too much, but because they act on every feeling the moment it appears. Anger speaks before wisdom. Hurt reacts before understanding. Loneliness pushes decisions that clarity would never approve. Islam does not ask a woman to erase her emotions. It teaches her to lead them, not be led by them. A wise woman pauses before reacting. She breathes before responding. She gives her heart space to settle before making choices that shape her future. This pause is powerful, because in that pause, she regains control. She understands that emotions are information, not instructions. They signal something happening inside, but they are not always telling the truth about what should be done. Pain can exaggerate. Fear can lie. Attachment can blur judgment. A smart woman learns to sit with discomfort without rushing to escape it. She allows sadness to pass without self-blame. She allows anger to cool without destruction. She allows longing to exist without compromising her values. This level of emotional maturity does not come overnight. It comes from self-awareness, reflection, and a deep connection with faith. Because when the heart remembers its purpose, emotions slowly fall into place. She also learns that emotional discipline protects relationships. Many bonds are damaged not by intention, but by unfiltered reactions. Words said in moments of pain often create wounds that apologies cannot fully heal. So she chooses restraint not because she is weak, but because she is wise. She understands that silence can be more protective than explanation, and patience more powerful than reaction. This is where inner strength becomes visible, not in dramatic responses, not in emotional displays, but in calm consistency. A woman who masters her emotional world gains something rare: stability. And with stability comes clarity. With clarity comes confidence. And with confidence comes a quiet authority that does not need to announce itself. This is why Islam elevates emotional discipline, because a woman who governs her heart walks through life with dignity, balance, and peace, even when the world around her is unstable. This is not suppression. This is strength refined by wisdom. A smart woman does not discover her worth through attention, relationships, or praise. She remembers it, and this remembrance changes how she walks, chooses, and responds to the world. Many women lose themselves not because they lack value, but because they forget where their value comes from. They measure themselves through how they are treated. They question their worth when they are ignored. They doubt themselves when they are not chosen. Islam gently but firmly corrects this mindset. Your worth was never placed in people's hands. A smart woman understands that dignity is not something given by society, it is something granted by the Creator. And once this settles in her heart, she stops begging for reassurance. She stops shrinking to be accepted. She stops overstretching to be loved. She knows who she is, even when no one applauds. The Quran reminds us clearly of this truth. In Surah Al-Isra, verse 70, we have certainly honored the children of Adam and carried them on the land and sea, and provided for them of the good things, and preferred them over much of what we have created. This honor is not conditional. It is not based on beauty, status, or success. It is intrinsic. A wise woman lives from this verse, even if she does not quote it daily. She carries herself with self-respect because she knows she was created with honor. She does not tolerate humiliation disguised as love. She does not accept disrespect masked as jokes. She does not remain in spaces that slowly erode her soul. Knowing her worth also teaches her boundaries. And boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They allow what nourishes her faith and peace, and they block what drains her dignity. She learns that not every invitation deserves a yes. Not every connection deserves access. Not every relationship deserves continuation. And this clarity gives her calm. A woman who knows her worth does not rush. She does not panic at delays. She does not fear being alone, because she understands that what is meant for her will not require self-betrayal. She also learns compassion for herself. She stops being harsh with her mistakes. She stops punishing herself for growth that took time. She treats herself with the mercy she hopes to receive. This chapter of wisdom is deep because it reshapes everything that follows. How she chooses a partner, how she raises children, how she speaks, how she stays silent, how she walks away. When a woman knows her worth through faith, she becomes steady, not proud, not arrogant, but grounded. And this grounding protects her from the storms of comparison, rejection, and doubt. Because a woman who understands that her honor comes from above will never kneel for validation below. One of the most painful lessons many women learn too late is this: not everyone who enters your life deserves to stay, and not everyone who listens deserves to know your story. A smart woman becomes very intentional about access. She understands that emotional access, mental access, and spiritual access are powerful privileges, not casual gifts. She does not hand them out simply because someone is present, persistent, or persuasive. She observes first. She listens longer than she speaks. She watches how people treat her boundaries before trusting their words. This wisdom protects her from unnecessary heartbreak. Many women feel drained because they give too much of themselves to people who were never meant to carry that weight. They share their fears with those who lack empathy. They share their dreams with those who secretly compete. They share their wounds with those who later use them as weapons. A smart woman learns to pause before opening her inner world. She asks herself quietly, does this person respect my values? Do they honor my boundaries without resentment? Do they bring peace or confusion into my life? If the answer is unclear, she waits. If the answer is no, she steps back without guilt. This is not arrogance. This is emotional safety. Islam teaches balance in relationships. Connection without discernment leads to pain. Trust without wisdom leads to regret. Love without boundaries leads to loss of self. A wise woman understands that protecting her space is not selfish, it is necessary. Because her heart is not a public space. Her thoughts are not open property. Her struggles are not entertainment. She also learns that access is not permanent. Just because someone was once close does not mean they should remain close forever. People change, intentions shift, and growth sometimes requires distance. This realization is difficult, especially for women who are naturally nurturing. Women who want to heal, help, and hold everyone together. But a smart woman understands that she cannot save everyone without slowly losing herself. So she releases what no longer aligns. She limits contact where respect is missing. She walks away from conversations that constantly drain her spirit. And she does this quietly. She does not announce her boundaries. She does not argue for her space. She simply lives according to her values and lets actions speak. This is why her life feels lighter over time. Less drama, less confusion, less emotional chaos. Her circle may become smaller, but it becomes safer. Her relationships become fewer, but they become deeper. Her energy becomes protected, and her peace becomes consistent. A woman who chooses access wisely does not live in isolation. She lives in alignment, and alignment creates clarity. Clarity creates calm. Calm creates strength. This is the kind of strength that does not need approval, the kind that does not need to explain itself, the kind that quietly reshapes a woman's entire life. Because when a woman controls who has access to her heart, she controls the quality of her future. There comes a moment in a woman's life when she realizes something painful but freeing. Not everyone will understand her choices, and not everyone will approve of the path she walks. A smart woman accepts this and still moves forward. She understands that faith was never meant to be convenient. It was meant to be anchoring. And anything that truly anchors you will sometimes pull against the current of society. Many women struggle here. They soften their values to avoid conflict. They delay obedience to avoid being judged. They hide parts of their faith to blend in more easily. But a smart woman knows the cost of this compromise. Every time she bends her beliefs for approval, her heart feels a little more unsettled. Peace begins to slip, not because she did something wrong outwardly, but because something went wrong inwardly. Islam teaches clarity over comfort. A woman grounded in faith does not measure her worth by applause. She does not wait for people to agree before doing what is right. She understands that acceptance from others is temporary, but inner peace lasts longer. So she makes difficult choices. She chooses modesty even when it makes her stand out. She chooses restraint even when expression is celebrated. She chooses patience even when reacting would earn sympathy. These choices are not always easy. Sometimes they are lonely. Sometimes they invite criticism. Sometimes they require letting go of spaces, people, or opportunities that feel tempting but misaligned. But a smart woman understands this truth. Nothing that costs you your faith is worth keeping. She also learns that obedience is not perfection, it is direction. She does not claim moral superiority. She does not look down on others. She simply commits to growth, even when it is uncomfortable. And when she stumbles, because everyone does, she returns without shame. She repents without delay. She corrects her path without self-hatred. This is strength. A woman who refuses to trade her faith for acceptance develops an inner steadiness that cannot be shaken by trends or opinions. She knows who she is, even when misunderstood. She trusts her path even when questioned. And this gives her freedom, freedom from people pleasing, freedom from comparison, freedom from chasing validation that never truly satisfies. Her faith becomes her compass. Her values become her boundaries. Her conscience becomes her guide. The world may not always clap for her choices, but her heart rests. Because a smart woman understands that living in alignment with faith may cost her popularity, but it will never cost her peace. And peace, once tasted, is something she will never trade again. A smart woman eventually learns that patience is one of the most misunderstood strengths in life. Many people think patience means staying quiet while being wronged. Others think it means waiting endlessly without taking action. Some believe it is weakness, delay, or fear. But patience, when understood correctly, is power under control. A wise woman knows that patience is not about doing nothing. It is about doing the right thing at the right time, without panic, without desperation, and without losing herself. She understands that reacting immediately often feels strong, but reacting wisely is what actually changes outcomes. Impulse gives temporary relief. Patience gives long-term protection. This is especially important for women because emotions are often dismissed, misunderstood, or weaponized against them. A smart woman refuses to let her emotional responses become the reason her message is ignored or her dignity is questioned. So she slows down, she gives herself permission to pause, to sit with discomfort, to feel disappointment without turning it into self-doubt, to feel anger without turning it into destruction. This pause is not silence out of fear, it is silence out of clarity. She learns that not every battle needs to be fought immediately. Some situations reveal their truth only with time. Some people expose their intentions without confrontation. Some doors close on their own if you stop forcing them open. A patient woman trusts this process. She also understands that patience does not mean staying in harm. It does not mean tolerating disrespect. It does not mean accepting injustice. A smart woman knows when patience is teaching her endurance and when patience is teaching her departure. There is a deep wisdom in knowing the difference. She learns that some situations require waiting with trust, while others require walking away with courage. And both require patience. Patience when building herself. Patience when healing old wounds. Patience when unlearning habits that once protected her but now limit her. Patience when growth feels slow and progress feels invisible. Many women give up not because the path is wrong, but because the results are delayed. A smart woman does not abandon growth just because it is quiet. She understands that the most meaningful transformations happen internally long before they show externally. Roots grow in darkness before trees rise above ground. So she keeps going. She also learns patience with people without excusing harm. She understands that everyone is fighting battles she cannot see. She gives grace without sacrificing boundaries. She chooses kindness without becoming naive. This balance is rare. It requires emotional intelligence, faith, and maturity. A patient woman does not rush relationships. She does not rush decisions. She does not rush healing. She allows things to unfold instead of forcing outcomes, and this protects her from regret. She also understands that patience strengthens trust not in people, but in purpose. She trusts that what is meant for her will arrive without her needing to chase it in panic. She trusts that delays are not denials, but preparations. She trusts that growth is happening even when it feels slow. This trust calms her nervous system. It softens her anxiety. It steadies her heart. And this steadiness changes how she moves through life. She becomes less reactive, less defensive, less desperate, more grounded, more intentional, more confident. People feel this energy. They sense her composure. They respect her boundaries. They take her seriously, not because she demands it, but because she embodies it. Patience also teaches her to let go of control. She understands that controlling everything is exhausting and unrealistic. She releases the need to manage every outcome. She focuses instead on effort, integrity, and alignment. This frees her. She stops blaming herself for things beyond her control. She stops internalizing delays as personal failures. She stops questioning her worth based on timing. She learns that some chapters take longer to write, and that does not mean the story is wrong. A smart woman stays patient with her own becoming. She understands that strength is not built in moments of ease, but in moments of restraint. That wisdom is not loud, but consistent. That maturity is not dramatic, but steady. And over time, patience reshapes her entire life. Her decisions become clearer. Her reactions become calmer. Her relationships become healthier. Her faith becomes deeper. Because patience does not just help her endure life, it teaches her how to live it wisely. This is why patience is not a delay of strength. It is the refinement of it. And a woman who masters patience does not just survive hardship, she emerges from it, anchored, elevated, and unshaken. There is a quiet awareness that separates a smart woman from everyone else. It is not intelligence alone. It is not experience alone. It is the deep understanding that life is not random and that every choice carries weight. A smart woman lives with accountability in her heart. She understands that her words matter even when no one is listening, that her intentions matter even when her actions look correct, that her private life matters just as much as her public image. This awareness changes everything. She does not live carelessly. She does not move impulsively. She does not justify harm by blaming circumstances. She pauses and asks herself questions many people avoid. Is this pleasing to the one I will answer to? Is this choice shaping me into who I want to become? Will this decision bring peace later or regret? These questions protect her. A woman who lives with accountability does not need constant supervision. She does not need fear-based motivation. She does not need external pressure to behave with integrity. Her conscience is awake. This does not make her perfect. It makes her honest. She knows she will make mistakes. She knows she will fall short. But she also knows that excuses delay growth, while responsibility accelerates it. So when she errs, she owns it. She reflects instead of deflecting. She corrects instead of defending. She returns instead of hiding. This inner honesty is rare and powerful. Many people exhaust themselves maintaining an image. A smart woman focuses on maintaining alignment. She is careful with her speech, not because she's afraid to speak, but because she knows words shape realities. Once spoken, they cannot be retrieved. Once they wound, they cannot always be healed. So she chooses restraint over release. She is careful with her actions. She understands that repeated small choices become habits, and habits become character. She does not dismiss small compromises because she knows they slowly reshape the heart. She is careful with her intentions because she knows that the same action can either elevate or empty her depending on the intention behind it. This awareness makes her consistent, not performative, not selective, consistent. She is the same woman in private as she is in public, the same in ease as she is in difficulty, the same when praised as when ignored. This consistency brings peace. She no longer feels split between who she appears to be and who she truly is. She no longer carries the weight of pretending. She no longer fears exposure, because there is nothing hidden that contradicts her values. A smart woman also understands delayed consequences. She knows that not everything shows results immediately. Some choices feel harmless today but echo later. Some shortcuts feel convenient now but create complications in the future. So she thinks long term. She does not sacrifice tomorrow's peace for today's pleasure. She does not sacrifice integrity for temporary relief. She does not sacrifice her inner stability for short-term comfort. This long-view mindset gives her maturity beyond her years. She becomes less reactive to trends, less impressed by appearances, less shaken by opinions, because she knows where life leads. She also understands mercy. Living with accountability does not make her harsh, it makes her humble. She does not judge others harshly because she is aware of her own shortcomings. She advises gently. She corrects privately when possible. She leaves space for growth for herself and others. This balance between accountability and mercy is where wisdom lives. A woman who lives like this does not feel lost even when life is unclear. She does not panic when outcomes are uncertain. She does not collapse when plans change. Because she is grounded in purpose, not control. She understands that life is a journey of becoming, and every choice is a step either toward alignment or away from it. So she chooses carefully, not fearfully, not obsessively, but consciously. This is why her presence feels grounded, why her decisions feel deliberate, why her life slowly gains depth instead of chaos. Because a smart woman does not live on autopilot. She lives awake. And a woman who lives awake does not drift through life. She walks it with intention, clarity, and dignity. This is not pressure. This is freedom. The freedom that comes from knowing who you are, why you are here, and who you will ultimately answer to. That awareness shapes her into a woman who is not easily shaken, because her foundation is deeper than the noise of the world. Dear sister, being a smart woman in Islam was never about perfection. It was never about being loud, visible, or constantly proving yourself. It was about clarity when the world is confusing, restraint when reactions are easy, faith when approval is tempting. You are not created to exhaust your soul trying to fit into spaces that shrink you. You were created to walk with dignity, intention, and inner peace. When a woman aligns her heart, her choices, and her faith, life may not become easier, but it becomes lighter. So walk gently, choose wisely, protect your heart, and trust that every step taken with sincerity is never wasted. O the one who knows what is hidden in hearts, grant our sisters clarity when emotions feel heavy, strength when patience feels difficult, and peace when the world feels loud. Guide them to choices that protect their dignity, relationships that honor their values, and paths that bring them closer to what truly matters. Heal what they do not speak about. Replace confusion with calm. Replace fear with trust. And replace exhaustion with quiet strength. Make them women of wisdom, balance, and inner light. And grant them hearts that remain steady, no matter how the world changes. Amen.